Hey YouTube, welcome back to Universe X, and today we are going to talk about the brand new ban list that's dropping before Realm of the Gods, that's dropping before the DBS Fest, and yeah, we're going to talk about my thoughts on it, how it kind of lines up with the predictions, or didn't line up with the predictions. I'm not going to read all the reasoning, mainly because this is a full day after the ban list is dropped. I'm sure most of you guys have already read over it, seen some comments on it, so I'm not going to waste your time going into just each individual explanation. I'm just going to kind of talk about how it may impact the format. However, I will waste your time with some normal plugs. First and foremost, if you haven't already, try hitting up the official Facebook group. This is exactly where I'm pulling all this information from. So if you're not following the official Facebook group for Dragon Ball Super, the card game, you're really missing out, because that is honestly how you get all this official information. Next, there's the discussion group where people are discussing more and more things every day about this game. There's the Universe X Discord where me and the homies chill. There's also the Universe X Facebook group where me and the homies really don't chill as much. Outside of that, there's also the Dragon Ball Super card game Reddit. I just wanted to plug that because lots of people aren't talking in there as much as I think they should. Reddit is really cool because if you aren't really I know this is kind of conflicting interest, but if you aren't really a video format type person, you just want to see everything in text, that's what Reddit's for. A whole bunch of text documents where you can kind of get that information, and I'm going to start posting there way more regularly so I can try to do my part in getting, the media out there in more ways that people like it. Last but not least, we got my friend, partial sponsor, amazing metal card artist, Chris from TCGMetalZ. You should go over there and give it a look. There's plenty of product that's awesome, and he's making leaders from next set that look amazing. And yeah, you can use the code UNIX to get 10% off your entire order at the checkout screen. That's UNIX, and you can get cards not quite like this because this is a two of a kind. I'm giving away one. There's a video. I'll put the link in the description where you can enter a giveaway to get one of these Dark Broly Xenon Harambe cards. But plenty of metal leaders that do pretty cool things. So, without further ado, let's get into the meat and potatoes. We are looking at a ban list that is adding 3 cards to the ban list, 1 limited, and 5 additions to the Errata list. So let's actually go into this and then just kind of talk about it. The first ban card, you got Unrelenting Assault Trunks. Now, this card, as you guys should know, is just it's one of the OG overwhelms. It came out in the first set that overwhelms were introduced in, and this guy is actually out here. He overwhelms for 3, and when he's warped from either the field or the deck, he comes to your hand. Now, where this comes into play is Gogeta Zeno top 5s to the warp. That's just what it does. And so if you ever warp this guy off of your top 5, he just comes to hand. That's a +1 because you're going to be getting just a free 5k to hand. But the other important thing it does is once your Gokus and Vegetas are all in your drop zone, because you have been, just using your fusions, putting them in the drop zone, you can overwhelm 3, which is a very easy number to hit, and then put them back in the warp to continue your plays. And then when this guy gets warped, it comes back to your hand. So you only really need 1 card for it to be just your constant trigger for resetting your graveyard. So hurting this did hurt some of the consistency of Gogeta Zeno, because now, once they use that 3-drop overwhelm, granted it's not like, oh, the world is over, but they don't have one that can keep coming back, and they surely don't have one that just comes to their hand the moment they warp it. So it's just a little bit more consistency that's lost from that deck. The next card that was banned is Big Daddy Foo. Now, fret not, as you can see on the list, your Foo is only banned if it's the crappy SR version. SPR is just too clean to even touch. Alright, jokes aside though, Foo is a card that comes down and negates all card effects on your opponent's side of the board in their field. They just can't activate activated effects. No countering, no blocking, no super combos. It is disgusting. And the issue with this is that at first Foo was kind of a card that helped you fight the late game decks. It's the very top end of any, finisher, any mid-range, even some aggressive decks. It's just your top end. But the issue is Foo is one of those high levels of toxic to where everybody can use Foo to the same effect, okay? Foo can be ran in a mid-range deck to shut out other mid-range decks. It can be ran in a mid-range deck to shut out control decks. It can be ran in a mid-range deck to completely close the game on aggro decks once you've stabilized. It can be used in a late game deck as your in-game no matter what finisher. You can either have an aggressive deck and play a copy of Foo, knowing that if the game gets that long, you can't close it out. Yeah, you play that Foo and the rest of your board plus Foo will do the work. And the issue with Foo is simply that he has very, very, very few ways to get interacted with. If you are going to interact with it, it has to be a counterplay, because once he comes into the board and he things like poutine and stuff like that, they'll activate when I won't say special summons, when he plays himself, but then his effect will resolve and their effects will be negated before they can resolve. This causes him to get around a lot of onboard floodgates, but you can counterplay him. You can play him into play tap. Steadfast is one of the best cards to play against it. You won't be able to block with Steadfast, but you'll at least be able to bring him into play and have him tapped. But God Sealing is honestly the best way to get around them, because you just bounce them back to hand. They just remove 10 from their grave and they will cry, and because they tap 6 energy too. But he's just a very, very uninteractive card, and when he comes down the board, like honestly, if you lose the same turn you play Foo, or if you don't win the same turn you play Foo wrong. That's how strong he is. He should be in any game he resolves, and it's just disgusting. Now, the last card that they add to the ban list is Cell Perfection Surpassed. That is the Surge Cell leader. He was just making a unfair space in the game. He has a unique floodgate on his leader. It's not as and don't get me wrong, there are other leaders with floodgates. Like look at Black Hatch. The only difference is Black Hatch does not have access to the color green like Cell Surge does. So Cell Surge is able to play all of these green hand destruction cards. It's also able to search top 5 for consistency and not give you any card by swinging, which allows them to not let you awaken unless you awaken yourself. It allows them to not interact with you and give you things like combo phases, which combo steps where some decks will do a lot of their work. It allows them to whittle away at your hand without ever giving you cards from life, and that's a really, really big effect. Moreover, once it flips over, it's able to detach to basically make sure everything that you play outside of Unisons comes in tap next turn. Also all battle cards. And this allows it to get a very, very, very stable pocket. You're already low on cards from its Cell Surge effects, but on top of being low on cards, it's going to stop you from being able to mount an offense with anything you may draw. Yeah, that's a beating right there. And it just like looking at it, it's kind of wild because the only way you could hurt this deck was by hurting green. If you didn't ban the leader, it's by hurting green itself, and green is in no position to get hurt right now. It's barely holding on. So with the banning of Cell Surge, you'll be able to actually play green hand destruction decks if you choose to do hand destruction. It's not going to be as strong, and you're going to be much more open to, aggression. But, we don't know what the next set holds, we don't know what the future holds, and that's fine right now. So, the next card that's limited, a card that could have easily been on the ban list, could have been, in my opinion, semi-limited if they wanted to do the first semi-limits. But you've got Power of a Super Saiyan. This card, I've said it for a very long time. You guys have, if you're fans of the channel, you've heard me say Power of a Super Saiyan. You've heard me talk about it. It's free, it draws you on when you play it, and it does a tremendous amount of things. It taps things in the battle-like step. So, in the combo step actually. Well, I guess the battle step. And what this allows you to do is a lot of cards play during the battle step. Arrivals play during the battle step. Things like pseudo-arrivals, like the Kaba, Proud, Zenith, or, more importantly, I think, because it kind of stomped on red, Divine Presence, they come in the battle, or during your combo, and you have to, if you're going offensively, you play them offensively, and then your opponent's like, okay, well, in my combo step, I'm just going to activate battle and hit you with his Power of a Super Saiyan, draw a card, and then tap that, so help me God. So, that's kind of whack, and I think that this card at 1, it does more than people would think. Like, people are like, oh, Power of a Super Saiyan at 1, but it does a lot of cool things. With Power of a Super Saiyan at 1, you don't have as many just out of the wall, like off the walls free options for your cards, for your extra cards. So, 1, you have to play extra cards that cost things. Black Kamehameha is definitely a very good card, but it still doesn't quite replace Power of a Super Saiyan, because Power of Super Saiyan is simply free. And it can be used the same way on both turns, so it's like very versatile. But the thing is, you don't have 4 Power of Super Saiyans, meaning you can't just open up 3 of them or 2 of them and be like, I'm going to charge one to open up with 1 energy that's, an extra card. I'm going to use this one on the turn, setting up for 2. Now my Steadfast and my Mecha Frieza Robotic Ripostes are online. or a poster online. Yeah, you can't just like willy-nilly throw it out. Slot 1, you really have to see it. You also have to decide when you want to pull that trigger, because it's not a throwaway card anymore. It's potentially a get out of jail free card because it is free. This will lead to yellow needing to leave more energy up more often, and that could lead them to being crowned more often. You know, there's a couple things that kind of go into that slowly weaken yellow. However, yeah, I think that it's a pretty good hit. It's a pretty good hit. Now the Errata. So you've got Sun Gohan and Hero Dragon, Boundless Friendship. They have changed this card in order to make the plussing not like just Pot of Greed every turn for no investment. You now have to play on its backside. You have to pay 1 yellow to play the vanilla card. This has effectively killed this leader. You will not be paying 1 to draw 1 card. That's not a bad effect, but that's not a ridiculous plus. And ridiculous plus is what this deck did naturally. So now that you have to pay 1 yellow to do that, no, that's pretty much enough out of that. Like, you can say what you want to say, but I mean, you can no longer draw 2 and then turlet somebody and then leave 1 energy up, knowing that you have Power of Super Saiyan and Black Kamehameha, and like your Power of Super Saiyan's at 1 and your Hero Dragon is, you know, not coming to the field. So you only drew 1 that turn if you comboed with it. And if you can't find a Hero Dragon that's in your hand, you don't draw any, because you aren't paying 1 to play it from grave and you're not comboing with it. So 1 for a Pot of Greed is not bad, but it definitely changes the dynamic of the deck, and the deck without having blue in it is already kind of weird on its energy. And even if it did have blue in it, unless you were running an Aegis package, you're not going to be wasting Senzu Beans because you want to bring a draw out. So it's just pretty much hurt. Next, we got Sun Goku Fighting Spirit. I'm really proud of this one because I said in my prediction on my Reddit post that True Fighting Spirit needs to be eroded to unique, because you don't want to limit it, because that would hurt the deck terribly. It's still a Goku, it's a Goku Xeno, and it does what it's supposed to do, and it's a self-awakener. There's a whole bunch of pluses for it. The oppressive part about it was when you would hold deuces for turns that you know you're about to get Topo'd, you know you're about to get, you know, Oceanus, and then you could even hurt somebody more than that. You play 2 of those and you have an established board and you swing in, and your opponent goes, okay, Oceanus, just go play Oceanus, tap 2 energy, play Oceanus, discard, like, you know, 2, or discard 1, warp 2 for 1 for each, you know, True Fighting Spirit, and then on top of that, you're like, okay, Super Kamehameha. Well, I just went an entire minus, and you're still gonna swing on me a whole bunch of times. So the card does what it needs to do for black. It's just simply, it was oppressive when you could hold multiples and deploy them. So next, we're gonna go to Black Smoke, Offering of Destruction, Black Smoke Dragon Offering of Destruction. This is the guy that was able to, you know, just get your draw 1. You could warp something from somebody's grave. This is how Gogeta Zeno players really stuck it to, this is how they really stuck it to the Hero Dragon players and some other decks. It has some fringe uses, because you can start picking off things in their grave, and if you pick off the Hero Dragons, they don't ever get those back. So that's pretty good. It's actually really good. But now they've eroded this because they don't want it not being played in a non-Demon Realm race leader. I don't exactly agree with this hit, because I thought that was a really niche play, and I thought that's a really cool ability for black decks to have, to be able to just side this in or main it when you need graveyard hate. Because surprisingly, for the most graveyard or drop zone based color, they don't actually have a lot of generic drop zone hate that you would want to play. But this is not only a unison, but it does, yeah. I'm a little sad. This is the one thing I don't agree with. And then you have the next Errata, Demon God Deborah, Diabolical Awakening. You just change the card to send that card to its owner's warp. They're just trying to fix some wording on it. This isn't really too impactful because the archetype is still kind of butt. And then last but not least, you have Vegeta. This is something that lots of people were wondering if it would happen or not. But Vegeta was able to, it said up to 1. Up to 1 as the discard cost when you're going to look at the top 3 for Saiyans. And because it's an up to 1, you know, ability, people were just deciding to choose 0. Discard 0, look at top 3, grab a Vegeta or Goku BR, you know, just like that. It was kind of strong. It was kind of strong. It wasn't like you were grabbing great cards, but you were just grabbing cards that or adding combo power to your hand, fusion fodder if you play that sort of deck. And combo power is important because combo power is going to allow you to survive, but it's also going to allow you to shotgun. So that just kind of be what it is. Now, my thoughts about this ban list. They didn't touch blue, which is good because blue isn't necessarily the strongest at the moment. But blue definitely went up the totem pole in this list. Blue was unharmed, and blue was de facto the second best color across the board, I'd assume. Gogeta Zeno, you could argue it would be black, but blue as a color, I think, is stronger than black as a color. Black, as in Gogeta Zeno, is stronger, I think, right now, as it was than Soul Striker was, as just Soul Striker, if that makes sense. But now blue is probably de facto the best color until set 16 drops. Now, granted, when set 16 drops, I think yellow and blue will be neck and neck. Mainly because blue lost nothing, but yellow's about to gain arguably the two best leaders in the set in terms of Trunks, which is able to punch hard and still has a fair amount of yellow's defense, but also Zamasu is a blue-yellow deck to be able to snatch the best of both worlds. The issue right now for me is that blue-yellow is a strong color combination. I was saying that I really hope that some cards would get restricted to mono leaders. They're not mono leaders like blue leaders, you know, red leaders. Like I want Champa and Isekai to be red leader only. I want Sensui to be blue leader only because blue-yellow is a very dangerous color, and Zamasu has access to a lot of good cards right now. I think people need to kind of understand that Zamasu can get up in cheeks very badly. You defensively play a Kefla, and you know, just have it on board. It survives. If your opponent lets it survive, then and it's a 30k, you know, they have to have hard removal for it. The next turn, you can discard another Kefla, tap down one of their energy, pay 2, play that Goku Black SR, tap down another energy. And because they didn't even touch Bergamo, which is wild, you can just play Bergamo and tap down 2 other energy. And in that deck, you're drawing so many cards, you're seeing so many cards, it's not really a stretch to say you might have it by the time you have 4 energy. Or even 5. So I think that yellow is still going to be a problem next set. Losing power of a Super Saiyan hurt it. Losing Hero Dragon hurt it now. It's about to get 2 valid leaders next set. So I'm a little disappointed that yellow is probably still going to be destructive as crap. A card that should have been on this list 100% was Cooler. I don't know what Bandai was thinking not touching Swift Retaliation Cooler. That card is destructive, and I would very much be surprised if I don't see it on the next ban list. So if you're going to Dragon Ball Superfest, at this point, I would say you need to expect yellow. If you're facing competitive players, you need to expect yellow. Zamasu and Trunks will be very, very strong contenders. Soul Striker will be a very strong contender. Red essentially got better because now I think yellow is going to be more open to Crown. And because yellow is going to be more open to Crown, yellow just simply, or red just got better. Red is going to be able to crown blue and yellow pretty well. Black is still going to be a very, very, very strong contender as well. Gogeta Zeno lost consistency, it didn't lose power. Thwarting was not touched. Trunks will be able to sneak in as well, the Xeno Trunks, because Trunks is in the same position. It didn't lose a single thing out of its list actually. So and Gogeta got a little less consistent. So Trunks, Gogeta, Zeno will both of them being Zeno will do some good stuff. Soul Striker's gonna do some good things. The Whis deck is actually not testing badly, and the Goku deck actually isn't testing badly. Not sure if you're ever going to want to run them over Soul Striker, but they're not testing badly. And then you have Yellow having Trunks and Zamasu. So, and then Red will have U7. I'm saying U7 because it can probably use multiple U7 variants. U7 Goku is here, but because Red did not get touched and Power of a Super Saiyan is gone, I think even decks like Gohan may have a little chance to kind of come back because you can now play Divine Presence a lot more freely. And Divine Presence still can't really be interacted with well with blue. And yellow, wow, sorry. Yellow can no longer get Power of a Super Saiyan the same way. So you won't, if they use the Power of a Super Saiyan on one Divine Presence, you know the other Divine Presence is probably clear to go unless the Trunks blocker is on the board. So I think Red U7 will do well. The only color that we probably won't see that much in the format is unfortunately green. But like I said in my predictions in my Reddit post, there's nothing you can do to help green on the ban list. Green has no cards you can unban that'll magically strengthen it. You need to print better green cards. So that is my video. That is my video about the ban list. Like I said, expect to see a lot of yellow. Every color except green should have a spot in the meta, I'd assume, coming up. but I do think that yellow is still overtuned, and they need to get rid of a couple more cards like Cooler, for instance, Lord Slug, for instance. I think Bergamo needs to go. But that's just me. That is just me. So let me know in the comments what you think of the content. If you like the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, the notification button, and I will see you the next time you decide to join Universe X. And if you want to see some, you know, Legends or Dokkan, I suggest going over to my second channel. Whenever new Dragon Ball games get released, I'm gonna be putting stuff up there. If we get a bunch of DLC and stuff for the movie, you can bet I'll be on my Xenoverse-ish. I'll maybe if they release another Gohan for this movie for like Fighter Z, I will learn how to play Fighter Z just to play the Gohan. That's just is how it is. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys the next time you decide to join Universe X. Later.